you are watching this video, it's a good chance it's because you're dealing with grief. When you experience grief, there is no ending. Before I even knew grief, I thought it was like, you go through grief and then it was something you get over. But that's not the case. Grief is something you live with. Once you've experienced grief, it's something that lives with you. It doesn't mean you're crying all the time and you're sad all the time and you can never have a happy life ever again. There's different stages of grief. There's shock and denial. You're in denial of what has been just told to you. Then there's anger. You're frustrated, you're mad, you're anxious. Then there's depression, lack of energy, you're overwhelmed, a great deal of sadness you're feeling, not knowing how to move on or how to go about life without that person. Then there's bargaining. So you're reaching out to others, you're telling your story, you're talking about your grief, you're talking about that person. Acceptance. The stage of acceptance is you accept what happened and you're learning to cope with it, and your mechanisms that you're using to cope are helping and are healthy, and you're accepting the fact that it happened and there's nothing else you can do but to continue to live. Now, the thing with all these stages, you might experience them differently. You might experience one longer than the other. You might even skip one of those stages, or you might even go through the stage, go into another one, and then come back to the first one. You might think, oh, I went through this stage, now I'm on this one, so I'm probably done this stage. But technically, no. Just because you've gone past that stage doesn't mean you might end up returning to it. That's what happened to me. I was going through the stages and I was like, okay, well, I came to almost an acceptance that, I'm going to be okay. But then I kind of ended up back at the beginning. It's a roller coaster of emotions. The stages are not like 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've done number 1, now I'm on to number 2, now I'm going to be on to number 3. It could be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 4. It could vary, it could change. A big thing about grief is one day you might be fine and totally okay and happy, and the next day can be the total opposite. You just never know when you'll have a good day and when you'll have a bad day, and sometimes it can change within a minute. You might be having a great morning and then the afternoon you're not so great, and you know what, that is totally normal. That's grief for you. What I found was difficult about grief was to go out in public, to face people but what was even more harder was them looking back at you, and that they're looking at you as the person that's grieving, and you sense that, you see that. And I found that was difficult because I know that's what you're thinking of. And you know what? It's okay if you come up to me and say, I'm so sorry. You know what? That is okay. Because you know what? Me too. If I would have heard somebody experiencing something, a loss, and I saw them in public, I wouldn't want to bring it up because I wouldn't want to make them sad. I wouldn't want to make them cry. But the thing is, truth be told, you don't want to make me sad. But the thing is, it's always in the back of my mind. So you're not going to make me sad. If you ask about her, I'll talk about her because she is my daughter. And I'm not ashamed to talk about her. And you shouldn't be ashamed to talk about your loved one either. There is nothing wrong with expressing, and if it's somebody that's been in your life for years, talk about them. Let their memory live on. They gave you great days, they gave you great years, and that person cannot be forgotten. What helped me a lot with grief was the support from every one of you. I mean, the support that I received dealing with grief was incredible. You have no idea. It's just even those, your words or your messages, and that's what kept me going. That's what helped me. You're allowed to be mad at life. You're allowed to just be mad. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be happy. Do not be ashamed to show your feelings or to feel your feelings. If you're in public and you know that people are looking at you because they know you lost someone, and you feel guilty for smiling or for laughing, don't. Because you have to live. You have to live for that person that is no longer living. You know, if you think about it, if that person that you're missing was still here, what would they want you to do? They would want you to be happy. They would want you to live. And as much as it's hard to live without that person that you're missing so dearly, that's what that person would want for you. And I know it's not easy to do, and you know, it's gonna take time. It's easy to say, and it's not the same when you're experiencing it. But keep pushing through, because the people that are in your life now love you, and they appreciate you and are lucky to have you in their life. This person you lost loved you. They would want you to be happy. They would want you to laugh. They would want you to go out and do things that you love to do. They don't want you to stay in bed and cry all day. They don't want you to make yourself sick. They don't want that. That's what you have to tell yourself. Try to hang on. Sometimes you feel like you're hanging on by a thread, and you know what? You're still hanging on, and that's what matters. There might be a time where you feel like you can't hang on no more and you gotta let go. And whenever it comes to that point, seek help. And there is nothing wrong with seeking help. There is nothing wrong with admitting that you need help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That makes you even stronger, because you noticed that there was something not right. You noticed that you needed help. Well, you're a strong person for doing that. There is no such thing as closure when it comes to grief. It does not change anything. They are still gone. So there's no such thing as closure, as you're like closing the door and moving on, because you're still living with that grief. You're still living with that feeling of missing that person. There's no such thing as closure, but there is acceptance. And that's whenever you accept the fact that they are gone. There's nothing you can do, unfortunately, to bring them back. I actually have to admit that it's a little scary to think about the future, because I know I will experience some more grief as the years go on. You know what though? That's life. So that is why you have to enjoy every minute of it. Enjoy every happy moment you have. If you're having a great day, embrace that. If you're having a good time with people, enjoy it, take it all in, because nothing lasts forever. Yes, you have to feel your emotions and you can't avoid them, but there's also a thing that helps: distraction. I distract my mind, so I try to keep busy. I do stuff, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, cleaning the house, taking care of my daughter. You know, all these things are distractions for my mind. I'm not technically always thinking about the loss, because my mind is concentrated on something else. So that helps, because it gives you, which sounds kind of a bad way to say it, but it kind of gives you a bit of a break. It's giving your mind a break, because you're concentrating on something else rather than the loss that you're feeling. Now, just because you're distracting your mind doesn't mean you're not going to think about it still, or you're not thinking about it while you're doing it, because that can happen as well. I can honestly go on and on and on about grief, but I might bore you guys. I hope this does help to an extent. Just be patient with yourself. You will go through the stages of grief, and you might go through them more than once. And you know what? Just be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to heal. Take the time you need. Don't feel like you should be healing at a certain time or at a certain speed, because there is no such thing. Do the things that make you happy, that make you feel good, and continue to do that, because you are not alone. There are so many people that are grieving out there, and sometimes they don't even show it. You are never alone if you need help. You're never alone if you need to talk to someone. There's always somebody there to listen. Hope you guys enjoy your day.